Introduction chapter is the first chapter of any project, either it is a project, dissertation or a PhD report. I still remember when I had written the introduction chapter for my PhD thesis. Introduction chapter was the last chapter which I had written because this is one of the most important chapter which tells and creates an idea about your entire project. So in this video, we will discuss how to write the introduction chapter for your project, dissertation or a PhD thesis. Hello everyone, welcome back once again. By the end of this video, you will know how to write the introduction chapter for your project, dissertation or a PhD thesis. Make sure to watch the video till the end, and if you're new to the channel, then do hit on subscription and bell icon to get the notification of latest uploads. And also if you have further queries, feel free to comment them in the comment section. Before I start this video, I want to say thanks to all the viewers for giving a lot of love and views to my previous series, which was on internship. I had conducted the poll and I had asked the student which series they want me to start. A lot of people had recommended me and suggested and requested to start the series on how to write the project reports. So in this series, this is going to be the first video of this series, and you will find the videos on how to write introduction chapter, how to write research methodology chapter, how to write the literature review chapter, how to write company profile, how to write data analysis and recommendations, findings, references, and how to make a right questionnaire to collect the primary data. So stay tuned for the videos of this series. It is a very common practice that a lot of students and researchers, they write introduction chapter at the last, because unless you don't know exact content of your project, how someone can write an introduction chapter. Introduction chapter is one of the key chapter which gives an idea and creates a foundation for your chapters and the entire project. So you'll have to summarize all the details, all the terms which are used in the project in the introduction chapter. We will divide this video into two parts. In the first part, we will talk about some key points to be considered while writing the introduction chapter, and in the second point, we will discuss some example how the introduction chapter is to be written. The introduction chapter creates the first impression on the examiner. The examiner is going to read the first chapter, which will give him an idea about what you have done, what you have written in the introduction chapter, and accordingly it is going to create the curiosity in the mind of the reader or the examiner to read further chapters. And that is the reason it is very essential to give special attention while writing the introduction chapter, because it is going to create the first impression on the readers. The second point is you'll have to give the overview of your topic and the project, the terminologies which you have used in the title, or if you have written something in the research methodology chapter, you will have to explain those terminology in the introduction chapter, because it is going to give an overview, an idea to the reader about your topic and the project. The third point is capture the reader's interest. The introduction chapter is like a story, so try to make it more interesting. You can use some pictures, graphs. Also, you can use some mind map and statistical data to make your introduction chapter more interesting for the readers. Next point is give an overview of your work. Introduction chapter should also comprises of the terms and the work which you have done in rest of the chapters, and try to give an overview of all the work and summarize your project in the introduction chapter, so that it gives a brief idea to the reader about the contents of your rest of the chapters. Next point is details about the contribution to the current body of knowledge. Every project, every research work always aims at adding something to the current body of knowledge. So try to figure out and mention the outline, what is the expected outcome of your project or a report, and try to mention that in the introduction chapter, so that the readers can get an idea about the expected outcome of your project. Next point is support your introduction chapter or a project with some real-time statistical data. So when you're writing the introduction chapter, make sure that you have added the related statistics. It can be anything. It can be industry specific, product specific, customer specific or any domain specific. Try to find the data, especially statistical data relating to your topic, and try to add them in the introduction chapter, because without the statistical data, introduction chapter is incomplete. So this is very essential, and a lot of students and researchers, they give a lot of emphasis on finding the relevant statistical data. And the last point is bridging your first chapter with the second chapter. So at the end or in the last paragraph of your introduction chapter, try to outline what you have covered in the first chapter, maybe a research gap, and try to connect with the second chapter. If it is dissertation or thesis, then the second chapter will be literature review. But if it is an internship based report, then the second chapter is going to be company profile. I have already made one video on how to write the internship report. I've left the link here in the description box, or you can also click on the I button and check the video as per your convenience. So these were the key points you'll have to remember while writing the introduction chapter. The second part of the video is on an example. So let us go to the second part and discuss the real-time example, how the introduction chapter has to be written.
Here we will see how the introduction chapter is to be written. At the top, you'll have to mention the chapter number. So it's chapter number 1, introduction, and from here the introduction starts. To understand it in a better way, we will continue the same example for rest of the chapters, and that's going to be impact of promotional mix strategies on pharmaceutical. So if you look at this, the introduction chapter starts with some basic introduction of the pharmaceutical company. It also explains some statistics. Here in the chart, if you could look, it shows global drugs market since 2019 to 2018. Also, if you could see, the reference is given on the top one. It means its reference is given, and that we call as a footnote. And even if you are referring to some charts, it is always recommended to give the number. So it is 1.1. 1 is a chapter, and 1.1 is the subtopic under this chapter. So if you could look at this graph shows the global drug market since 2019 to 2018, and also the source of this graph is given here. So if you could see, this graph has been taken from the Hardman's and Co. Life Science Research, and this I was talking about. So this is the footnote. Moving ahead, 1.2 talks about FDA new drug approvals since 2099 to 2018, and this graph shows the approval of the drugs. Again, the source of this graph is given here. Moving ahead to a next graph, it's 1.3 or 1.3 point, that is evolution of biopharmaceuticals since 2020 to 2018. It is given here. Again, the source is also given here. So source is Hardman's and the Co. Life Science Research. Moving ahead to the next, you can pause the video in between and go through what has been written in each of the paragraph. Moving ahead, what is given here is this has been driven by the following enabling factors like increasing demand, also stable growth in domestic pharmaceutical market consumptions, less cost of manufacturing. Some of the factors are discussed here. And point number 1.4 is Indian pharmaceutical market and how it has been evolved over a period of time. So this graph talks about the annual turnover of Indian pharmaceutical market in US billions or USD, and quarterly growth in Indian pharma market, which is shown in the percentage. Again, the source is given. Source is report by Indian Brand Equity Foundation. 1.5 is composition of Indian pharmaceutical market. It talks about the composition of the market, which is also illustrated here in the graphical format. 1.6 specifically talks about the pharmaceutical export to continue the witnessing positive growth. So how the pharmaceutical industry has been grown over a period of time. This is shown here in these two paragraphs. The first one is about the pharmaceutical export from the India and the major export destinations and India's pharma export in financial year 2018, which is given here. Again, the source of this graph is report by Indian Brand Equity Foundation. 1.7 talks about the USD 55 billion pharmaceutical market by 2020 with potential for more, which is mentioned here, how it is going to grow over a period of time. 1.8 is about the hospital channels will increase significantly in influence though the retail will stay important. So the increase of, rather the forecasting of increase in the hospitals has also been mentioned here. 1.9 is new models of sales force coverage and excellence is mentioned here. So how the sales force is going to get increased in healthcare sector. Specifically, we talk about the sales representative, which has been forecasted here since 2005 to 2020. Again, the graph is referred from Medical Council of India McKinsey analysis report. Moving ahead, and here we have come to the second part of chapter number 1, that is marketing. So what we have seen, or what we have written until now, was the statistical data relating to pharmaceutical market, its global trend, its local trend, involvement of the hospitals and representatives. And here actually marketing and 4 P's of marketings are discussed. So here we have talked about the marketing mix. Here we have talked about the 4 P's of marketing. So elements of marketing: product, price, place and promotion. And here, as we discussed, the title is impact of promotion on the performance of the pharmaceuticals. So here we are specifically going to target the promotion, and that's the reason that then promotional elements are discussed afterwards. So here in 1.13, promotion mix we have talked about, and after that the elements of promotion mix are discussed in detail. So advertising is one of the element of the promotion. Then characteristics of advertisements or advertising are also discussed. And the second tool of the promotion is sales promotion. Characteristics of sales promotion are discussed in detail. And the next one which is discussed under the promotional mix strategy or the tools of promotion is personalized selling or personal selling, we called it. Moving ahead to a personal selling, next is going to be the public relation. After public relation, next is direct marketing, which is discussed here. So here we have come to an end of this chapter, rather the writing of this chapter. But as I stated in the first part of this video, that you'll have to link your first chapter with the second. Since it was based on the project, it can be dissertation or internship or a PhD thesis. You'll have to link with the second chapter, and the second chapter for the project is going to be literature review. So here the researcher has tried to link with the second chapter. So if you could look at the last line, they need to be the renewed focused on the operations excellence, especially driven by new age technology capabilities and marketing mix strategies, and it has been linked with the second chapter. So we have come to an end of an example. What you'll have to remember, you'll have to start with some statistical data. Take the statistical data from the global perspective, then take it from the national perspective, then local perspective, and then try to link with the second chapter.
So these were some key points and example you will have to remember while writing the introduction chapter for your project, dissertation or a thesis. I'm sure you must have found this video useful and informative. If so, then please give a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit on the bell icon to get the updates of latest uploads. Also, feel free to comment if you have further queries. Rather, I will request you to do comment and tell me how did you find this video, which can motivate me to make such videos based on how to write the projects. The next video is based on how to write the literature review for your project, thesis or a dissertation. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, this is Sandeep signing off. Thank you for your time.